All right, students, let's start our lecture. Good morning. So let's revise what we have done in last lecture. Within last lecture, or more precise, we can say that from last two lectures, we have started with the topic that is database interaction. And within that, we are doing theory of the topic that is ADO.NET Object Model, or we can also say it as a connected disconnected architecture, right? And within last lecture, we have seen four objects, that is command, parameter, data reader, and data adapter. We have seen all these four objects with its properties and methods, right? So now today we will continue with the same topic, right? And we will start with the object that is command builder. Now, as we have seen that whenever we use data adapter object, right? Data adapter, we can say it bridges the gap between the data source and the data set. Means if we want to fill data set with the help of the records which we have retrieved from the database, right? Then it is done with the help of data adapter. And after that, we have also seen that if we want to fill the data set, then we can use fill method. And by the end of the day, if we want to update the database with the updation which we have done within the data set, then it is possible with the help of update method, right? Now the thing is that command builder is the object, right, through which we can generate various types of queries automatically by using this object. As we know that we have seen update method, right? So when we use update method, right, to update the database, the changes remains only in the data set. It is not reflected in the database. But if we want to implement the changes within the database, right, what we need to do, we need to use command builder object, right? So again, I repeat, if we want to make changes that we have done in the data set, and we want to do those changes, we want to implement those changes within the database, right? Then what we need to use, we need to use command builder object, right? Now, as we will use SQL database, so obviously the name of the command builder class will be SQL command builder, right? And it is present in system.data.sql client names. Again, I repeat, if we use SQL Server database, then the class of the command builder will be SQL command builder class, and it is present in system.data.sql client namespace, right? What it will do, it will automatically generate table, right? Table commands, right? That are used to update the data set, that are used to update the database with the help of the changes that we have made within the data set, right? So if we will use command builder object, then it will be very easier for us to generate, insert, update, delete queries, right? Which can be used to update the database, which is present on SQL Server, right? So this is the another important thing that we can use. See over here, I have written a small code, right, through which we will able to see that how we can create the object of SQL command builder class from the data adapter, and how we will able to update particular table which is present in dataset to the database, right? So if we want to create object of SQL command builder class, then what we can write, dim cb as new SQL command builder, and obviously we need to specify that this command builder is to be created from which data adapter object, right? So within parentheses, we need to specify the data adapter object, right? After that, what we need to do, as we have already specified that CB will be created from data adapter, that is DA, right? And we know that we have update method in data adapter. So what we will use, da.update, and within parentheses we need to specify the dataset object, and from that dataset object we need to specify which table we want to update, or more precise, which we changes of which table within the data set is to be reflected on the database itself. And over here I have specified EMP table, means this EMP table is present in the data set, right? So the changes which we have done in this EMP table will be reflected in the table that is present in our database. More precise, we can say that is present in the data source, right? So this is how we can create a command builder object from the data adapter, and with the help of update method of data adapter, we can reflect the changes which we have done within the data set to the database, right? And after that, we can do one thing, we can call the dispose method, right? So that the object, that is command builder, will be disassociated with the data adapter. Means once the changes have been updated, right, we can use dispose method so that command builder and data adapter will get detached, that is disassociated, right? So this is the importance of command builder, that when we can use command builder class. Only we need to remember over here is that the significance of command builder is what we can do. We can reflect the changes that we have done within the data set to the database itself, right, without writing any insert, update, delete query, because it will be generated with the help of this command builder class, right? So that was the command builder object. Now another object is data set. Now what is data set? We can say that the data set is disconnected in memory representation of the data. Again, I repeat, we can say that the data set is disconnected in memory representation of data. Obviously, it is disconnected because it is present in the disconnected part of ADO.NET architecture, right? And it is in memory representation. Now, what is in memory representation? In memory representation means the data set just reside in the memory of the client machine. Again, I repeat, dataset will reside in the memory of the client machine. Means we can say that we can create a local copy, right, of the database within our memory. Again, I repeat, we can say that we can create a local copy, right, of the database within our memory. The dataset will remain persistent within the memory, right? And we can also manipulate the tables which are present within the data set, right, which will be independent of the database. Means what will be the scenario, right? For example, if I want to use the database for the whole day, but we know that if we open the connection to the database for the whole day, then it can be a security breaches, right? Anyone can use that connection, right? And any of the person can modify our database. So now what we can do, we can do one thing, we will open the connection, right? We will fetch whole database, or more precise, we can say we will fetch all the tables that we need, right? And we will create the local copy within our memory, and it will be known as a data set, right? And we will close the connection. Now what will be the scenario? Whatever manipulation, whatever modification that I want to do within the tables, I will do those changes within the data set. That is the tables that are present within the data set and not in the database, right? So after the end of the day, if all changes have been done, right, then after what I can do, I can reflect those changes within the database, right? So what I need to do by the end of the day, again I need to open the connection, just reflect those changes, and I will close the connection. Means for the whole day I don't need to keep open my connection to the database. So security will also be there, right, in this type of scenario, if we will do the operation in this way, right? So the important part over here is, as we know that the data set is disconnected object, right, and it is independent of database. Means whenever we close the connection and after that we will make modification within the data set, right, it will be independent of the database. Means it will not be reflected to the database until and unless we will explicitly call the update method with the help of command builder object. That we need to remember over here, right? But obviously it is useful because it gives us security. We don't need to keep open, we don't need to keep connection open for the whole day, right? But though we are not using the connection for the whole day, but we are able to update the data set, right? That is, we can perform various types of queries. We can also perform select query, right? We can also perform insert, update, delete query, right? Means the each and everything, each and every operation that we need to perform on the database, right? Instead of database, what we will do, we will perform all those operations on the data set, and by the end of the day we will update that data set to the database. So this is the significance of the data set, right? So It is a memory resident representation of the database, right? Which will include, obviously, as we have seen in the diagram, it will include tables, it will also include relationships, and it will also include constraints. And along with that, as there is a table, it will contain collection of data columns and data rows, right? So it is used for working in the disconnected environment. Disconnected environment means disconnected part of our architecture. Means though the connection is close to the database, but still we will able to use the tables, still we will able to use the records, still we will able to use the relationships that are present within the database, because we have retrieved all those tables within our data set, right? So this is the most important part of the data set. We have already seen this thing within the diagram. That is, if we consider a data set, then it will be the collection of data tables, and within that data table, if we consider one data table, then it will contain data column, data row, constraints, and obviously we can also specify the relationship between those tables. We have also discussed that it is a generic class, right? Means it is not specific to some database, like connection, command, data adapter, and data reader, right? This data set is a generic and it is not specific to the database, because whenever we use the data set, it is present in system.data namespace, right? And the name of the class is data set. It is not like SQL dataset, Oracle dataset, or OLADB dataset. No, it is not like that. It is just a dataset because it is a generic class. It means it is not dependent on the kind of the database. It is not dependent on the type of the database from which we are retrieving the records, because it is totally present in disconnected part. Again, I repeat, because it is totally present in disconnected part. And as it is present in disconnected part, so it is not concerned with the kind of the database. It is not concerned with the type of the database. So as it is a generic, it is present in system.data namespace, and the name of the class is just a data set. We need to remember this important thing over here. And why it is like that? Because it is present in disconnected part, and though means it, as it is present in disconnected part, so it is not concerned with the type of the database, right? So the class name will be just a data set, right? Obviously, if we want to use data set, we need to create an instance of that class, right? We can say that it is database that is present on the client side, or more precise, we can say it is a database which is present in the memory in the client area, right? So once we will open the connection, fetch the tables that are needed, and we will close the connection. All those tables are placed within the data set, and data set is created on the client side, right? So we can say that it is a database at a client side, or more precise, it is a database at the client side in the memory of the client area, right? All right. So as we have seen that if we talk about data set, right, it is a collection of data tables, right? Again, I repeat, if we talk about data set, right, then it is a collection of data tables, means it can contain more than one data tables. Now, if we consider one data table, right, then it is a collection of data columns and data rows. Again, I repeat, if we talk about one data table, it is a collection of data columns and data rows. Because as we know, obviously the table contains more than one data columns, that is the fields, and data rows, that is our records. And along with that, we can also have constraints within this data table. Means if we want primary key constraint, another type of check constraint, right, then that all things are present within this data table object, right? And if we talk about data column, then obviously, as it is data column, means it is a field, so we can say it will contain field name, data type, and we can also specify that whether it will allow null value or not, right? So this is the thing that we need to remember about data table, data column, and data row. Again, I repeat, we can say that the data set is a collection of data tables. Now from that, if we take one data table, then we can say it is a collection of data rows and data columns, right? Obviously, if we consider data table, it will have columns, rows, table name, primary key constraint because we can also place constraints within this tables. And if we talk about data column, then obviously it will contain column name, that is the field name, its data type, and we can also set whether we want to allow null value within that column or not, right? So here it is just a simple diagram, right? So that if we consider a single data set, right, it is a collection of data table and data relation. If we consider data table, and from that if we consider a single data table, then it will be a collection of data column, data rows and constraints, and from that collection we can access single data column, single data row and one constraint. If we talk about data relation collection, then we can also access a single data relation from that particular collection, right? Means more precise, if we want to say, then we can say that the data set is a collection of data tables and data relations, and data table is a collection of data column, data rows and constraints, right? So this is a simple diagrammatic representation of the data set object. All right, now here is an example that how we can create table dynamically within the data set. Again I repeat, here is an example that how we can create data table, right, within our data set. So if we consider one data table, right, and if I want to store the records related to the products, right, then what I can do, first of all, obviously I need to specify that what table I want to create, right, which are the columns that I want to specify within that particular table, and after that I can specify data row within that particular table, right? So if I talk about one data table within the data set, right, then if we assume that I have created products table, right, again I repeat, if we assume I have created products table within the data set, then obviously after the creation of the data table within the data set, what I need to do, the first thing that is needed is I need to create data columns within that data table. Again I repeat, I need to create data columns within the data table, right? So the first important part is, let's assume that I have created products table within the data set, right? Now if I want to create data column, then I will use data column class. Again I repeat, if I want to create column within my table, within my data set, I will use the class that is data column. I will create reference of that data column, that is my call, right? After that I will use new keyword to explicitly allocate the memory, right? After that I need to specify the name of the column and the type of the column which I want to use for that particular data column, that is the data type of that particular column. So the first column that will be created within the products table will be, right, that will be the ID, right? And after that we also need to specify the data type that we want to add, that we want to specify for that particular column, right? Now there are two ways, right? What we can do, we can create the column, and after that I can add this my column within the columns collection of the table. And the another way is I can directly add the column within the columns collection like this way. So over here I have explicitly created the object of data column. I have specified the name of that data column, and along with that I have specified the data type of that particular column which is needed. But if I don't want to do this like this way, then what I can do, I can directly specify the name of the data table, that is product table. I will use the collection that is columns, and if I want to add something within the collection, I will use add method. Within add method I can specify the name of the column, that is ID, and after that I can specify the data type of the column, that is system.in32. We know that over here we need to specify the data type which is specific to the .NET framework, and we have already studied that if we consider data type of .NET framework, it is present in system namespace, right? And it is like system.in32, in 16, in 64, single, double, right? So over here I want to specify the data type of this ID column is in 32. So I have used system.in32, right? But along with that, we need to specify, we need to use get type method, because as you are able to see, I have specified this system.in32 in double quotation, means it will be considered as a string. Now, if I want to convert this string into the data type itself, so that's why I need to specify type dot get type, means this get type method will convert this string into the data type itself, that is system.int32, right? So like this way we can create the column and we can add that column within the columns collection of the table. Again, if I want to add the second column, that is for example subtotal, right? Then I will specify the name of the table, that is products table. Within that there is a columns collection. I will use add method. The column name is subtotal and the data type that I want to use is system dot single. Again, I repeat, the data type that I want to use is system dot single. And along with that, if I want to specify that from where I want to get this particular value for this column, then I can write sum of price. Means it will use sum function, right? And it will calculate the price according to it, and it will specify the default value for that particular column, right? So this is how we can create columns, or more precise, we can add columns within the table, right? So we assume that we have created all the columns. Now if I want to create row within that particular table, then what I need to do, obviously, as we have used data columns for the fields, over here we will use data rows class. After that, we will create reference for that particular data row class, that is temp row as data row. After that, I will specify temp row is equal to products table, that is the name of my table, and I will call new row method. So what it will do, it will create the row according to the columns that we have created within this product table column. Again, I repeat, this new row method will create one blank row within the temp row, which is similar to the columns that we have created within this products table, right? So if we assume that the first column is ID, so I need to write temp row within parenthesis double quotation the name of the column, that is ID, and I will specify the value. After that, if we consider the name of the column is category, right? This will not come, right? So it will be temp row within parenthesis double quotation, again the name of the column, that is category, and within double quotation we will specify the value of that particular column, that is plastics. Then the third column, if we assume that it is a description, right, then I will write temp row within parenthesis double quotation, I will write the field name, that is description, and within double quotation I will specify the value, that is mug. Now the thing is that if I want to add this temp row which I have created within the products table, then what I will do, products table, that is the name of my data table, I will use its rows collection. And as you know that if I want to add something within the rows collection, I need to use add method, and with the help of add method I will add the object of that data row, that is temp row. So we need to consider over here is that if we want to create a row, we need to use new row method of that particular table. We need to create the object of that data row. We need to specify field name. Along with that, we need to specify the value, right? And after specifying the values of all the fields, we need to add that object of data row within the rows collection of the data table, right? So this is another way how you can add the row, right, within this particular products table. So students, as you know that we have seen the same example within VB.NET, right? But over there it was employee table. Over here we have considered product table. So if you will refer the book, then you will get the example of employees table, right, which we have already done in VB.NET, and it is also present in the ASP.NET book, right? So this is the important thing, that if we want to create dynamic tables within dataset, then it is done with the help of data rows, data columns, and data table, right? Now the another important object that we need to consider within data set is data relation, right? So what is the significance of data relation? We can say that it is used to specify the relationship between the tables which are present within the data set. Again, I repeat, the significance of data relation is we can specify the relationship, or more precise, we can say that we can specify foreign key constraint, right, between the data tables that are present within the data set. Over here, I'm talking about data set and not the database, right? So again, I repeat, if I want to specify the relationship, or if I want to specify the foreign key for the tables which are present within the data set, I can use data relation class. I need to create the object of the data relation class. Within that, I need to specify that which tables I want to use, from that tables which columns I need to use for the relationship, and after that I can retrieve the records according to the relationship, right? So here is an example that how we can do all those things. So first of all, if I want to create the relationship, what I will use, obviously I will use data relation class, right? I will create object of that data relation class, that is data R. After that, at the time of the creation of the object, I need to specify three parameters, that is 1, 2 and 3. Now, which are these three parameters? The first parameter is the name of the data relation. Again, I repeat, first parameter is the name of the data relation. And as I want to use DEPT and EMP table, so I have given the name of the data relation is DEPT EMP. Right over here, you can give any name. I can also simply write as D, I can also simply write as E, or I can also simply write as A. It is just a name of the data relation. As you give the variable name, over here we need to specify the name of the data relation, right? So at the time, again I repeat, at the time of the creation of the data relation object, first parameter we need to specify is the name of the relation which we want to refer further for our logic. So the name of the data relation is DEPT EMP. After that, the second parameter which we need to specify is the table, and from that table which column is to be considered as a master within the master child relationship. Again I repeat, more precise, the second argument will be, the second parameter will be the master table, right, and its column which is to be considered in this relationship, right, in this data relation. So obviously from DEPT and EMP, DEPT will be the master table, right, and from that I need to use DEPT-NO column. So that's why I have used over here DS, that is the data set object. From that data set object, I have used tables collection. From that tables collection, I want to access DEPT table. From that DEPT table, I want to access its columns. So I have used columns collection. And from that columns, I need to access DEPT-NO, right? So this DEPT will be considered as a master table, right? And this DEPT-NO is the column that is to be considered within this relationship for the master table. Now the third argument will be the child table and its column. So obviously again we will use data set object, that is DS. Within that we will use tables collection. From that tables collection I want to use EMP table, and from that EMP table I want to use DEPT-NO column. So this EMP table will act as a child table. Again I repeat, this EMP table will act as a child table within this relationship, right? So whenever we create the object of data relation class, first argument that we need to specify is the name of the relation. Second argument will be the name of the master table and its column. And the third argument will be the name of the child table and its column, right? So according to that, the relationship object will be created. Now, we have created the object of data relation class, that is data R. Now we need to add this object in the data relations collection of data set. So what I need to specify over here, DS, that is the data set object, dot data relations, that is the collection. As we want to add something within the collection, we will use add method, and with the help of add method I have added the object, that is data R, within this collection. right? So now what is the scenario? We have a data set that is DS. Within that data set, there are two tables, DEPT and EMP, right? DEPT is the master table, EMP is the child table. And from the two tables, I have created data relation, that is data R, right, on DEPT-NO column. And I have also added that data relation within the data set, right? Now what I want to do, I want to access employee number according to the department number that is retrieved from DEPT table, but by using the relationship which we have created, that is DEPT EMP, right? So over here, if I want to retrieve like that way, what I need to do? First of all, I need to create the reference of data row class, that is temp row and EMP row. Temp row I will use for DEPT table and EMP row I will use for employee table. Now, if I want to traverse the collection, we know that we have to use for each loop, right? So over here, first loop I have iterated for DEPT table, that is for each temp row in data set, that is DS. From that data set, I will access DEPT table, and from that DEPT table, I will access its rows collection. So what will be the scenario? Whenever this for each loop will be iterated, one by one, rows will be placed within this temp row, right? And from the temp row, I want to access the department number, right? And that department number is assigned within the variable that is DNO, right? Again, I repeat, whenever this for each loop is iterated, one by one, each and every row is placed within the temp row, right, from the rows collection of DEPT table. And after that, if the row is present within the temp row, right, what we need to do? We need to access department number. So I have specified the name of the column, that is department number, and the value that is retrieved from this is assigned within the DNO variable. Now after that, according to this temp row which is retrieved, I want to access its child rows, that is the rows of employee table. Means if the first row contain the department number 10, so this temp row DEPT-NO will contain the department number 10. Now what I want to do, with the help of second for each loop, I will retrieve all the employee records that are of department table, department number 10, right? So for that purpose, what I will do, again I will iterate a for each loop. I will use EMP-NO in temp row, right, dot get child rows. Over here, this get child rows is the method with the help of which we will able to retrieve the records of the child table, that is EMP table, which is related to the department number that is present in this temp row. So if, as we have considered department number 10, so we will get the records of employee table which are of department number 10. Again, I repeat, the significance of this get child rows method is it will allow us to retrieve the employee records that are related to the temp row, that is within our example we have taken department number 10, right? So it will retrieve all the employee records which are related to the department number 10, and one by row one it will give that record within this EMP row, right? And with the help of EMP row and parenthesis double quotation EMP-NO, we will able to retrieve the value of EMP-NO, and we can also assign that within some variable, right? So you need to remember the significance of get child rows method, because within this relationship, if we want to retrieve the records according to the relationship, then the most important part is we need to use this get child rows method, right? If we will not use this method, then there is no use of of this relation, right? So over here, the important part is we need to create the object of data relation, and if we want to retrieve the records according to the data relation, then we need to use the method that is get child rows, right? We need to remember this thing over here, right? So it is very important to understand what is the significance of get child rows, and this also we have already seen in VB.NET, right? All right, so that was all about data relation, right? Now the another object that we need to see is data view, right? As you have already studied in your RDBMS subject, that if we want to create part of some table, right, if we want to provide access to some user for some part of the table, right, I don't want to show all the records, or I don't want to show all the fields to some particular user, then what I can do, I can create view from that particular table, right? So likewise, if I want to create data view from the data table which is present within the data set, then I can use data view object which is present in ADO.NET, right? So we can say that if we will use data view object, then we can do sorting, filtering, searching, editing, navigating, right, within the data that are present within the data set, right? So what it will provide, obviously it will provide the custom view of the data table, right? Means if for example, if we consider employee table, there are 10 records within the employee table, and from that 10 records, 7 records are of for example non-teaching staff, and 3 records are of teaching staff. And if I want to give access to the user, that is only the records of non-teaching staff, then what I can do, I can create data view from that data table, right? Again, I repeat, I can create data view from that data table, so that the view will contain only the 7 records that are of non-teaching staff, and it will not contain all the records, right? So this is the significance of data view, that where we can use this data view object. Now, if I want to create data view from the existing data view, data set, then what I can use? I can use data view class, right? I will create the object of data view class, that is dv, right? Obviously, we need to use new keyword as we want to create the object. And after that, at the time of the creation of the object, we need to specify that from which table within the data set we want to create this data view. So over here I have specified DS, that is the object of data set. I have used tables collection, and from the tables collection I have used EMP table, right? So according to the EMP table that is present within the data set, data view will be created, and the object of the data view is DV. Means in future, if I want to implement filtering or sorting or searching on this particular data view, then I can use this DV object, right? All right. So there are some properties and methods, right? So the first property is row filter. It will work as a where clause. Again, I repeat, first property within data view is row filter, and it will work as a where clause. Means if I want to create a data view which is for the particular employee, then what I can do, I can specify dv.rowFilter, right? That is dv is the object of data view, row filter is the property, is equal to, I need to specify the criteria. Over here we can specify the employee name. This employee name is the name of the column, and we need to specify the value, right, on which we want to perform filtering, right? So according to the value which is specified within this employee name column, right, where clause will be applied, and according to that the records will be filtered, and we will able to see only those records which will satisfy this row filter property, right? Likewise, if we want to specify the range, then what we can do, dv.rowFilter is equal to employee number greater than equal to 6 and employee number less than equal to 10. Means the records of those employees whose employee number falls within this range, that is 6 to 10, will be retrieved from the data table, and it will be considered for this data view, that is DV. Means though the employee table contains 10 records, but data view will contain only the records that falls within this range, that is the employee number that falls within this range, that is 6 to 10, right? Now if I want to perform sorting, then there is a sort property, that is dv.sort, and I can specify the column name. right? If I want to sort on two columns, then I can specify the column names by separated by comma. That is dv dot sort is equal to s name comma roll number. Means the first sorting will be done on the student name, right? And if the students name are same, then obviously the sorting will done on the roll number. If I want to by default, we need to remember over here is that the sorting will done obviously in the ascending order. But if we want to perform sorting in terms of descending manner, right, then we can use DESC keyword, right? That is over here I have specified dv dot sort is equal to s name, that is the student name, and I want to perform sorting in descending order, so I have specified DESC keyword. So as you are able to see over here, right, this row filter and sort property is equivalent to the where clause, right, and order by clause which we are writing in select query. Again I repeat, this row filter and sort method is similar to the where clause and order by clause respectively, which we are writing in select query, right? So that is the important part over here which we need to consider. Now there is one method, that is find method, which is used for searching, right? And how we can do that thing? Obviously, first of all, we need to consider that the column on which we are performing the search operation should be in the sorted order. Again, I repeat, the most important thing which we need to consider over here is the column from which we want to find something should be in the sorted order, right? So first of all, what I have done over here, I have written dv dot sort and I have done sorting on employee name, right? Then I want to find particular employee, right, from the records. Then what I will do, dv dot find, and within parenthesis double quotation I will specify the value from that particular column name, right? So what it will do, it will try to find the string which is similar to the string that is specified within this double quotation within all the records that are present within dv, right? And if get the similar string, it will return the position of that particular string, that is it will return the record of that particular string, record number of that particular string, right? And we need to store that value within some variable, right? Again I repeat, find method is used for searching. We need to specify the value that we want to search from all the records that are present within data view, and the most important part is that that column must be in a sorted order. So before finding, we need to apply sort property. We need to specify the column name, and the column name must be the column name from which we want to find the value. So over here, as I want to find the value which is in employee name column, so within sort property I have specified employee name. After that, I have used find method. I have specified the value that I want to find, and it will record the record number, right? If that particular value is found within the employee name column, right? So position will contain that value, right? So students, this is all about, we can say, the objects that are present within data view, right? Over here, we have not discussed transaction object in detail because it is not there in your syllabus. All right, so the thing is that over here we have completed all the objects. That is, we have started with connection, command, parameter, data reader, data adapter, data set, data row, data column, data relation, and data view, right? These are the thing, and obviously command builder, right? These are the objects which we have seen in this 3 lectures, right? Now another thing is, as we have seen that we can create the dataset object, right? But another thing is that if we want to create a typed dataset, right? Up till now the dataset which we have created, that was untyped dataset. Means what we were doing, we were just creating the object of the dataset, and after that, with the help of data adapter, we were filling the dataset with some particular table, right? That was untyped dataset. But if we want to create a typed dataset, right, then what we can do, first of all, obviously, if we want to retrieve the connection string from the web.config file, then what we will do, we will use system.web.configuration namespace, and from that system.web.configuration namespace, if I want to retrieve the value of connection string from the web.config file, I need to use web configuration manager class. Then I will use the connection strings collection of that web configuration manager class, and then within parenthesis double quotation, by mistake I have written over here square bracket, but over here you need to consider parenthesis double quotation, right? This is, it will be parenthesis. Then we need to specify the name of the connection string, and then as we are accessing the value from the connection strings collection, we need to convert that connection string, so I need to use connection string property. This we have already seen in our code, right? So this you already know. But now if you want to create type data set, then what you can do, the simple thing is you need to right click on the website within the solution explorer. You need to select add new item. From the items collection, that is the template, you need to select data set, right? You need to give the name of the data set, and you need to click on add button, right? So these are the simple things which you already know, that if you want to add something within your website, what you need to do, you need to right click on the website within solution explorer, select add new item, select the template. Over here we will select data set, we will give the name of the data set, and then we will click on add button, right? And after that we will get one template on which we can drag and drop all the tables from the server explorer, right, that we want to use within the data set, right? And after that, if we assume that we have added tables within that particular data set, then we can access those tables, right? And we can access the values of that columns which are present within that data set. But the most important part is, right, more precise, we are not using the type data set, but we will create the object of the data set whenever it is needed within our code, right? But this is a small example which I have written over here for the type data set, right? So we will see that thing. So the first thing which you need to consider is this two import statements, that is import system.web.configuration, import system.data.sql client, as we want to access the records from SQL Server database. Then after, on the page load event, right, what I have done, I have created the dataset object, that is DS, but see over here, it is dataset 1, right? This dataset 1 is the name of the dataset which I have added within my website, which is a type dataset. That is how I have added this data set, by right clicking on the website within Solution Explorer, add new item, and from that template I have selected data set, and the name of that particular data set I have given was data set 1. That's why over here, instead of data set class, I need to specify dataset 1, which is the name of the dataset which I have created at the time, which I have given at the time of the creation of that particular dataset, which I have done with when I have right click on the website within Solution Explorer and I have selected add new item, right? Then obviously I need to retrieve the connection string. So I have used web configuration manager class dot connection strings. Then I have specified the name of the connection string and dot connection string property. So this is the statement which you already know. Then I have created con, which is the object of SQL connection class, and within that I have specified constr, which is the variable name of the connection string. After that, I have created cmd object, which is of SQL command class, and I have specified the query, that is select asterisk from from student. Means I have written the select query through which I want to retrieve the records which are present in students table, right? And then I have specified cmd.connection and I have attached the connection object. If I don't want to specify this statement explicitly, then what I can do, I can specify comma over here and I can specify the name of the connection object that you already know, right? Now after that, what I want to do, obviously I have created object of data adapter, that is DA, and within that I have specified CMD. Then with the help of da.fill, I have written DAS dot tables. Over here, this ds is the object of data set 1, and we have to assume that we have drag and drop student table within that data set, right? So that's why we have specified ds dot student, right? After that, I want to retrieve number and name from that type data set, right? So what I have used the object of string builder class. This also we have seen in vb.net, right? So same we have done over here. I have created object of string builder class, that is str, right? Within str I have append b tag, that is bold tag, right? Because I want to retrieve all the string in bold form, right? Then what I have done, I have used again str.append, that is ds dot tables, that is 0 number record, right? And from that 0 number record I want to retrieve the value of number, that is roll number. So I have specified like this way. Then I have embedded br tag, that will move on to new line. And after that again I have appended name from 0 number record. So what this str will contain, str will contain roll number and name of the first record, or more precise we can say the record that is present on index number 0, right? Within this str, right, it will be in the bold form. And after assigning all the values within this str, what I have done, I have assigned that value within the text property of the label control, that is label 1.text is equal to str.toString. Over here we need to specify toString method, because we have created object of string builder and not of string. That's why we need to specify over here str.toString, right? This string builder class we have already used in vb.net, right? So same we have used over here, right? So only one thing that you need to remember in type dataset is you have created this dataset by right clicking on the website within Solution Explorer, add new item, and from the template you have selected dataset, and you have drag and drop the tables on that particular dataset which you want to use. And after that, whenever we want to create the object of the dataset, we need to use the name of that type dataset, that is dataset 1. And after that, we can use the tables that are present within that dataset, and we can retrieve the values from that dataset, right? But the important part is, instead of using this type dataset, what you can do, as we were doing up till now, that is you can create the object of dataset with the help of DA, that is data adapter. You can fill the dataset, you can fill particular tables within the dataset, and then you can use those tables, right? But this was also one thing that you can that is present in .NET framework. So I have given one example over here, right? So for today's lecture, my part is completed over here, right? If you have any doubt, then you can ask me, else we will end our lecture over here. So if you have any doubt, you can ask me.